Snow falls gently on my shoulders as I stand at my father's grave. The marble headstone gleams despite the overcast Denver sky. His name Richard Carter etched, with a permanence his life didn't have. I place white roses beside the headstone, their petals already gathering snowflakes. "Goodbye, Dad," I whisper, my breath fills the winter air. My phone buzzes in my coat pocket. I pull it out, the screen illuminating with a name I haven't seen in months. Mom. My stomach tightens as I swipe to answer, already anticipating what's coming. "Lauren, it's your mother." As if I wouldn't recognize the voice that's been alternately praising Ashley and critiquing me for 40 years. "Hi, Mom. How are you?" I brush snow from my sleeve, buying time to steady my voice. "I've been better," she says, her tone trembling just enough to sound vulnerable. "I hate to bother you at such a difficult time, but there has been an emergency with the house." "Of course there has. Underscore. 2 weeks ago, we sat in Attorney Wilson's wood-paneled office as he read Dad's will. The moment still replays in my mind with crystal clarity: the shuffle of papers, the scent of lemon furniture polish, the weight of expectation. To my daughter, Lauren, I leave the sum of $600,000. Mother's face had darkened instantly, her gaze darting to Ashley, whose mouth formed a perfect O of outrage. The attorney continued explaining Dad's wishes that I manage the estate, but I barely heard him over the blood rushing in my ears. $600,000. More money than I'd ever imagined having at once. Ashley had stormed out, not even looking at me. Mother followed without saying goodbye, their departure leaving the air charged and empty simultaneously. Now, standing in the cemetery with snowflakes melting against my cheeks, I listen as Mother details the latest crisis. "The foundation is crumbling, Lauren. There's water damage in the kitchen, and the inspector says the floors could collapse any day now." Her voice rises and falls with practiced distress. "The roof is leaking in 3 places. It's simply not safe." I close my eyes, seeing instead the 10-year-old girl I once was, watching Dad pack his suitcases, while Mother sobbed dramatically in the bedroom. Weekend visits to his new apartment. His steady presence at every school event while Mother focused on Ashley, the baby of the family, who needed more attention. "How much?" I ask, cutting through the detailed description of rot and ruin. A pause. "The contractor estimates $80,000 for everything." "I know it's a lot, but..." "Oh, what, Mom?" "Well, with your job in tech and now your father's money." She lets the sentence dangle. "Your father would have wanted you to help family, Lauren. You know that." The familiar guilt rises, but something else pushes back against it: caution, perhaps. Dad's voice in my head. Underscore. "Look before you leap, Lori." Underscore. "I can help with some of it," I say, choosing my words carefully. "I can transfer $30,000 to start the most critical repairs." 30? The disappointment is immediate. But the contractor needs. "I'll set up a separate account in Texas," I continue, my voice firmer than I feel. "We can assess the rest as the work progresses." The silence stretches between us, heavy with her unspoken accusations of stinginess, of not caring enough. "Fine," she says finally, the word clipped. "I suppose that will have to do for now." I hang up and stare at Dad's headstone, snowflakes now covering the roses completely. For 30 years, I've been the financial safety net, the responsible one, the checkbook that opens when family calls. Even now, with Dad gone, nothing has changed. Except me. Something shifts in my chest, not quite resolved, but it's seedling. I've spent 30 years trying to buy my mother's love. But some prices are too high, even for the daughter who always paid. As I turn to leave, a question surfaces that I've never allowed myself to fully consider. Have you ever felt that nagging doubt after helping family? The feeling that somehow you're still being taken advantage of? I should have trusted that instinct, because what I discovered next would change everything. Steam rises from my latte as I settle into the corner booth at Copper Mountain Coffee. Outside, downtown Denver bustles with lunch hour energy. But in here, the warm lighting and rich aroma of freshly ground beans create a sanctuary. Lauren! Sarah's voice cuts through the ambient chatter. She waves from the entrance, her familiar smile instantly transporting me back to college days. I stand to embrace her, feeling the genuine warmth of her hug. God, how long has it been? 3 years? 4. Sarah corrects, sliding into the booth across from me. She unwraps her scarf, revealing the same laughing eyes I remember from our dorm days. Not since Emma's birthday party. We fall into conversation as if the years between meetings never happened. Sarah talks about her physical therapy practice. I share stories about my latest project launch. The rhythm feels natural, comforting. So, Sarah says, stirring her chai, James has been swamped lately. His event planning business is really taking off. That's fantastic, I reply, remembering Sarah's husband with his meticulous attention to detail. Good planners are hard to find. Tell me about it. Sarah scrolls through her phone, then tilts the screen toward me. He's coordinating the Sullivan wedding in Houston next month. Ashley Sullivan? Your sister, right? My coffee cup freezes midway to my lips. It's going to be quite the affair. Sarah continues, oblivious to my sudden stillness. James says they're spending close to $70,000 on just the basics. The venue alone, this gorgeous plantation house outside Houston, is costing a fortune. I set my cup down carefully. 70,000? At least. Sarah nods enthusiastically. Designer dress, custom cake, around $150 on the guest list. James said it's one of the most extravagant weddings he's coordinating this year. The coffee turns bitter on my tongue as one thought crystallizes in my mind. I haven't received an invitation. Lauren, you okay? Sarah's brow furrows. I force a smile. Just surprised. I hadn't heard many details. Sarah's expression shifts to confusion. But you're going, right? James mentioned it's happening in 4 weeks. Of course, I lie, reaching for my wallet to disguise the trembling in my hands. Listen, I need to run. Early meeting. This was wonderful, though. Our kitchen feels unnaturally quiet that evening as I open my laptop. The house is empty market as Thursday basketball game, the kids at their grandparents'. The silence amplifies the sound of my heartbeat as I log into the Texas bank account. The balance reads $0. My breath catches. I click to the transaction history, watching as the story unfolds in cold, digital precision. Steady withdrawals over 3 weeks, culminating in a final large transfer to Sullivan Wedding Services 7 days ago. $80,000. Gone. Not for crumbling foundations or leaking roofs. For centerpieces and champagne toasts at a wedding I wasn't invited to attend. My hands move to my phone before my brain fully processes what I'm doing. Mother answers on the 3rd ring, her voice unnervingly cheerful. Lauren, what a nice surprise. I pace the kitchen, forcing control into my voice. I was just checking in about the house repairs. How are they coming along? Oh, she pauses. They haven't started yet. You know how contractors are unreliable, always promising what they can't deliver. My fingers tighten around the phone. Each word from her mouth now sounds different, hollow. Constructed. I see. I trace a finger along our kitchen counter, gathering courage. And what about Ashley's wedding? The silence stretches long enough that I check my screen to see if the call dropped. Then, her voice returns, pitched slightly higher. Well, yes, Ashley is getting married. It's all happened rather quickly. I'm sure she was planning to tell you herself. With my money? The words escape before I can soften them. Another pause. Lauren, I don't know what you're talking about. The money you sent was for the house. The money is gone, Mom. All of it. Transferred to Sullivan Wedding Services. There must be some mistake. I hang up, my body suddenly too heavy to hold upright. I lean against the counter, breathing deeply to keep the room from spinning. The front door opens, and Mark's footsteps cross the entryway. He appears in the kitchen doorway, gym bag slung over his shoulder, his smile fading instantly when he sees my face. What happened? He sets down his bag, moving to my side. They lied to me. My voice sounds distant, detached. The house repairs were never real. They used the money for Ashley's wedding. A wedding I wasn't even invited to. Mark's jaw tightens, but his voice remains steady. What do you want to do? I need to know everything first. I straighten, drawing strength from his solid presence. I'm calling Aunt Carol. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting on her bedroom floor, back against the bed, as my father's sister confirms what I already know in my heart. This wasn't the first time, honey. Carol's Texan drawl carries the weight of long-held concerns. Remember Ashley's knee surgery 3 years ago? That money went to kitchen renovations. Your mother's been showing it off to everyone in the neighborhood. And the wedding? I ask, though I already know the answer. It's all anyone in their circle talks about. The Sullivan event of the decade. Carol's voice softens. They're using you, Lauren. Richard would be heartbroken. After we hang up, I find myself staring at a family photo from my childhood. Dad's arm is protectively wrapped around my shoulders, his smile genuine while Mother seems practiced. Ashley clutched possessively in her arms. When you discover your family sees you as nothing but a checkbook, you have 2 choices. Keep signing checks, or tear up the book. What would you do if your own mother and sister conspired to steal from you? Because what I did next would change our family forever. Financial statements spread across my home office desk like fallen leaves after an autumn storm. Checks, bank statements, and money transfer confirmations from the past 5 years. I've been piecing this puzzle together for hours, my hand cramping as I input each transaction into a spreadsheet. The final sum glares from my laptop screen. $204,387. $200,000 in emergencies. Medical bills that never existed. Home repairs that were never completed. Car troubles for vehicles that ran perfectly fine. Education expenses for courses Ashley never took. The Colorado morning sun streams through my office window, catching dust motes that dance in the light. I should feel something stronger than this hollow emptiness in my chest. Rage, perhaps. Instead, I feel a strange calm, like the eye of a hurricane knowing destruction surrounds me, but experiencing a moment of unnatural stillness. Mark's warm hand lands gently on my shoulder, startling me. How bad is it? He asks, his voice quiet with concern. I gesture at the screen. Over $200,000 in 5 years, not counting the wedding money. He whistles low, squeezing my shoulder. Enough is enough, Lauren. I nod, closing my eyes briefly. I know. But I've said those words before, haven't I? Each time drawing a line in the sand, only to redraw it farther back when Mother crossed it with another desperate call. Another engineered crisis. I want them to hear me say it, I decide, standing up. Not in a text or email. I want to hear their excuses, their justifications. I need to know if they ever saw me as anything more than an ATM. 30 minutes later, my cell phone sits on speaker in the center of our dining table. Mark sits beside me, his presence a silent fortress of support. I've rehearsed what I'll say, but my heart still hammers against my ribs as I dial. Mother answers on the 3rd ring. Lauren, is everything okay? The concern in her voice almost sounds genuine. No, Mom. Everything is not okay. My voice remains steadier than I expected. I know about Ashley's wedding. I know where my money really went. A beat of silence stretches between us. Then, oh, Lauren, don't be dramatic. Ashley needed help, and you weren't using the money anyway. The casual dismissal ignites something in my chest. Not using. It was my money. Given to me by Dad. Your father would have wanted to help Ashley too, she counters, her voice hardening. Besides, Ashley didn't want to ask you directly for wedding money. I blink, momentarily speechless. What? She didn't want to owe you anything. Mother explains as if this twisted logic makes perfect sense. You're always so superior about these things, making people feel small when you help them. The accusation lands like a slap. Mark's hand finds mine under the table, squeezing gently. Put Ashley on the phone, I say, my voice unnaturally calm. I know she's with you. Rustling sounds filter through the speaker, followed by Ashley's voice, sharp and defensive from the start. What's your problem now, Lauren? Mom already told you. My problem is that you and Mom stole from me, I interrupt. You lied about house repairs to fund your wedding. A wedding I wasn't even invited to. Oh, please, Ashley scoffs. You got Dad's money. I deserve something too. The entitlement in her voice leaves me breathless. And you couldn't just ask me honestly? Like you would have said yes, she snaps. Miss Perfect with her perfect job and perfect husband. You'd have looked down your nose at me like you always do. I've given you money every time you've asked for 15 years. I say, memories flashing through my mind, her car down payment, her rent when she was between jobs, her emergency dental work. When have I ever said no? It's not about the money, Mother interjects. It's about how you make us feel when you give it, like we're charity cases. This is rich coming from you, I say, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. You've always treated me like an outsider. Dad was the only one who... There it is. Mother's voice rises. Richard always favored you, paid for your education, your first apartment. You've always had it easier. Easier? The word feels like broken glass in my mouth. I worked my way through college even with Dad's help. I built my career while sending you both money whenever you asked. How is that easier? You think you're so much better than us, Ashley hisses. With your big Denver house and your tech job, some of us weren't handed everything on a silver platter. The familiar accusation finally breaks something loose inside Meth's narrative. They've constructed where I'm somehow both the cash cow and the privileged villain. The pattern crystallizes with sudden clarity, the guilt trips, the emergencies always timed when things are going well for me, the resentment disguised as gratitude. I'm not sending any more money, I say, each word deliberate and clear. Ever. The silence that follows is brief but profound. Lauren, honey, you don't mean that. Mother's voice shifts instantly from defensive to pleading. We're family. Families help each other. You knew I'd help if you'd asked honestly. Instead, you lied and stole from me. Oh my God, you're going to destroy this family over money? Ashley's voice rises to a near shriek. After everything Mom has done for you? You already destroyed it when you decided to lie, I reply, surprised by how steady my voice remains. This isn't about money. It's about respect and trust. I end the call before they can respond. The dining room feels suddenly too quiet, the space emptied of everything but truth. Mark and I sit in silence for a long moment, my hand still in his. Are you okay? He finally asks. No, I admit, but I will be. Later that evening, we sit at the kitchen table with mugs of tea, discussing next steps. The Texas bank account needs to be closed permanently. Our phone numbers might need to change if the harassment escalates. There are practical matters to attend to. But beneath it all runs a current of grief I hadn't anticipated mourning the family I wished I had, rather than the one I actually got. I keep thinking I should feel more guilty, I confess, staring into my mug. Shouldn't I feel terrible about cutting off my own mother? Mark's eyes kind and clear meet mine. If you keep giving, they'll never stop taking. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set a boundary. I nod, standing to retrieve our wedding album from the bookshelf. We flip through pages showing our modest celebration of a small gathering at a mountain lodge, surrounded by friends who genuinely celebrated our happiness. No elaborate floral arrangements or designer gown, just authentic joy. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. I murmur, tracing the outline of my father in one of the photos, his proud smile as he walked me down the aisle. I finally believed what my mother and sister had been showing me for years. I closed the album gently, setting it aside. The pain remains, but alongside it grows something elsey quiet certainty that I've done the right thing. For perhaps the first time, I've honored my worth more than my guilt. Have you ever had to make the painful choice between keeping peace and keeping your dignity? Because my mother's next move would test mine to the breaking point. Mark's voice crackles through my cell phone, uncharacteristic tension straining his usually calm tone. Lauren, I may have messed up. I grip the phone tighter, the conference room suddenly feeling too small despite its wall of windows overlooking downtown Denver. What happened? Your mother called my office. The words land like stones. She was crying, Lauren. Said Ashley's wedding was falling apart because of financial issues. My stomach knots as I gather my presentation materials. What did you tell her? I tried to be vague, but when she started talking about what a disappointment you've been, his voice hardens. I snapped and said we knew everything about the house repairs, scam, and the wedding. I closed my eyes, imagining Mother's face shifting from tearful manipulation to calculated anger. It's okay. They would have figured it out soon enough. I hang up and step into the elevator. By the time I reach the parking garage, my phone is alive with notifications. 3 missed calls from Mother. 5 from Ashley. The voicemails stack up like accusations. I sit in my car and press play. Mother's voice filling the space. Lauren, how could you be so cruel after all we've done for you? Delete. This is your sister. Thanks for ruining the biggest day of my life. Delete. Mother again, voice modulating from outrage to a practiced vulnerability that once would have gutted me. Sweetheart, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Please call me back. The wedding venue is demanding another $40,000, or they'll cancel everything. I stare at the phone, a strange calm settling over me. The desperation is almost impressive in its audacity. They've downgraded from the Grand Hyatt to the community center on Westheimer. Sarah's voice carries a mixture of disbelief and secondhand embarrassment over my speakerphone as I chop vegetables for dinner. Ryan says the guest list got cut in half. They're asking people to bring dishes instead of catering. I slide diced bell peppers into a bowl. What about Ashley? How's she handling it? Not well. Ryan overheard her screaming at the wedding planner yesterday. The poor man was trying to explain that without the promised funds, they couldn't secure the original vendors. Mark enters the kitchen, raising an eyebrow at my half smile. I cover the phone. Wedding apocalypse updates. He shakes his head, squeezing my shoulder before reaching for wine glasses. Sarah continues, but here's the real bombshell. The groom's parents found out about the financial situation. You mean the theft? I say, the word still feeling strange on my tongue when applied to family. Yes. They cornered the wedding planner, demanding to know why everything was changing last minute. When he explained what happened with the funding, she pauses. They're threatening to convince their son to back out. They're saying Ashley lied to them about where the money was coming from. I absorb this, feeling an unexpected pang of sympathy for my sister, quickly tempered by reality. Let me guess she's blaming everyone but herself. Bingo. Especially you. Friday night, Mark and I sit across from our friends Tom and Elise at our favorite Italian restaurant. My phone rests in my purse, deliberately powered off. Tom's story about his son's disastrous science project has us all laughing. I feel my shoulders drop fully for the first time in weeks. The weight of family drama temporarily lifted in this bubble of genuine friendship. Lauren, Elise says, studying me over her wine glass. You look lighter somehow. It suits you. I smile, surprised by the observation, but knowing it's true. I feel lighter. Mark's hand finds mine under the table, a silent acknowledgement of how far we've come. The executive boardroom falls silent as I conclude my presentation. Our CEO nods appreciatively. Outstanding work, Lauren. The security protocol overhaul is exactly what we needed. Pride warms my chest as I gather my materials. 3 weeks of late nights paid off, the project coming together despite family distractions. In the hallway, I finally power up my phone. A single voicemail notification appears. Mother. I press play, steeling myself. The wedding's been scaled back. Her voice is tight, controlled. They're saying it's your fault. I hope you're satisfied. I delete the message without a flicker of regret and slide the phone into my pocket. 6 weeks ago, that message would have sent me spiraling into guilt and self-recrimination. Now, it feels like someone else's problem because it is. Standing at my office window overlooking the mountains that frame Denver's skyline, I watch clouds gather for an afternoon storm. There's beauty in their darkness, in the promise of cleansing rain. Sometimes the most painful decisions lead to the most peaceful outcomes. What price have you paid for your own peace? Because my mother was about to tell me exactly what mine would cost. The soil crumbles between my fingers as I nestle another purple coneflower into the freshly turned earth of my garden bed. May sunshine warms my shoulders, a welcome change from the snow that blanketed Dad's grave 4 months ago. The scent of damp earth and coffee mingles in the morning air, my favorite combination. My phone vibrates against the cedar mulch where I've placed it. Mother's name flashes on the screen. I don't answer, continuing instead to press soil around the delicate roots. The vibration stops, replaced seconds later by the soft chime of a voicemail notification. For a moment, I consider ignoring it, but something in me needs to hear whatever she has to say. I wipe my hands on my gardening jeans, press the speaker button, and set the phone on the garden ledge as I continue working. Mother's voice emerges, colder than I've ever heard it, a steel blade wrapped in tissue paper. Lauren, I've given this a great deal of thought. A pause punctuates her calculated delivery. As far as I'm concerned, I only have one daughter now. My hands freeze in the soil, but I don't look up. You've destroyed what should have been Ashley's special day. Her fiancé's family nearly called off the entire wedding when they found out about the venue change. Her voice tightens. Ashley will never forgive you for this humiliation, and neither will I. Don't contact us again. The message ends. No goodbye. I place my phone down among the flowers and sit back on my heels. The weight I've carried since Dad's funeral, perhaps since childhood, slides from my shoulders. A smile tugs at my lips, surprising me with its authenticity. From the patio door, Mark watches, concern etching lines around his eyes. He steps outside, coffee mug in hand. Everything okay? He asks, crossing the flagstone path to my garden. I look up at him, dirt smudged across my cheek. It's over, and I'm okay. The words feel true the moment they leave my lips. That evening, Sarah calls as Mark and I finish dinner. I thought you should know, she says, her voice low, as if sharing a secret. The wedding almost didn't happen. Tom told me that 2 hours before the ceremony, James discovered that Ashley had lied to his parents about the venue change. Said it was because of budget issues when they'd already given $15,000 toward it. I load a plate into the dishwasher, phone pressed between ear and shoulder. What happened? James threatened to back out. Called the whole thing emotional fraud. Sarah pauses. But Ashley blamed everything on Tom. Said the wedding planner mishandled their funds and forced last-minute changes. My stomach tightens. She didn't. She did. Tom's lost 3 clients already from the fallout. His reputation is on the line, and he had nothing to do with it. I set down the dish towel. I'll call him tomorrow. I have emails documenting exactly where that money went. After hanging up, I join Mark on the porch swing. Night has fallen, painting the sky in deep indigo. The creaking rhythm of the swing matches my heartbeat. Did I ever tell you about the summer Dad taught me to fish? I ask, my voice soft in the darkness. Mark's arm tightens around my shoulders. I don't think so. I was 12. He took me to this little lake outside Houston, just the 2 of us. I spent hours watching my line waiting. The memory washes over me, clear as yesterday. Finally, something tugged, and I yanked so hard I fell backward. Dad helped me up, laughing, but I'd lost the fish. Mark listens, his breathing steady beside me. When I started crying, he told me something I never forgot. He said, Sometimes, Lori, you have to know when to hold tight and when to let go. The trick is figuring out which one keeps you standing. Stars emerge overhead, pinpricks of clarity in the vast darkness. You didn't lose a family, Mark says, his voice gentle but firm. You freed yourself from people who never treated you like family. Tears slide down my cheeks, not of sadness, but release. Decades of striving for approval, of trying to earn love through checks and sacrifices, wash away with each drop. The next morning, I read a check at my desk. The amount equals exactly what Ashley's full wedding would have cost. $70,000. The recipient, Denver Children's Education Foundation. Mark's hand rests on my shoulder as I sign my name with steady strokes. This is what Dad would have wanted, I whisper, sealing the envelope. Later, I retrieve an old family photo from my desk drawer, the four of us at my high school graduation. Dad beaming, Mother's tight smile, Ashley scowling in the background, and me in the center, cap askew, caught between worlds. I study it one last time before placing it in the bottom drawer, closing it firmly. We don't get to choose the family we're born into, but we do get to choose the people we allow to remain in our lives. Have you ever had to walk away from toxic family for your own well-being? I never thought I could until I realized what staying was costing me not just financially, but in the currency of my own self-worth. The garden calls to me, new flowers waiting to be planted in soil that will actually help them grow. 6 months later, laughter flows as freely as the wine in our dining room. Mark squeezes my hand under the table while our friends debate the merits of hiking trails around Denver. The chandelier casts warm light across faces I actually trust, a revelation that still surprises me. You seem different, Lauren, says Diane, Mark's colleague, studying me across her wine glass. Happier somehow. I smile, feeling the truth of it in my shoulders, no longer braced for the next crisis call. I am. The conversation drifts to summer plans while I slip into the kitchen for dessert plates. Through the window, my garden stretches in neat, deliberate rose peas climbing trellises, tomatoes ripening in the Colorado sun. 6 months of freedom from manipulation has allowed other things to grow besides vegetables. The first red flag is when they won't tell you exactly what the money is for, I explain, standing before 20 people at the community center. The second is when they make it about your character if you really loved me, or after all I've done for you. I click to the next slide in my financial literacy presentation. A woman in the front row nods, recognition flickering across her face. 3 months of volunteering here has shown me how common my story is, the sophisticated emotional blackmail that leaves bank accounts empty and hearts broken. You're not being stingy by asking questions, I continue. You're being responsible. Love doesn't require payment. Afterward, the woman approaches me with tears in her eyes. My son has been draining my retirement for years. I never knew how to stop it. I hand her my card. Now you do. When the email from Aunt Carol arrives, I'm at my desk reviewing quarterly projections. The subject line reads simply, Update. Ashley's marriage is already showing cracks. 3 months in, and they're in counseling. Your mother called last week, another emergency with the furnace. I told her my accountant handles all my finances now. Thought you should know. I closed the email without reply. No surge of satisfaction, no twist of guilt, just quiet acknowledgement. Their problems are no longer mine to solve. Emma's college fund is set up, Mark says. Laptop open at our kitchen table. And we've earmarked some of your dad's money for Jessie's education. I think of Mark's niece, brilliant and determined, her single mother struggling to make ends meet. It feels different when it's built on truth, doesn't it? I say. No manipulation, just genuine desire to help. He closes the laptop, considers me. You've changed. For the better, I hope. His smile tells me everything I need to know. Summer drapes Denver in golden light as I approach Dad's grave again. No snow now, just wildflowers nodding in the gentle breeze. I place fresh roses beside the headstone, the marble warm beneath my fingers. I did it, Dad, I say quietly. I found my voice. A chickadee lands on a nearby branch, tilts its head as if listening. We started a scholarship in your name engineering students who need a chance, just like you gave me. The words come easier now. My conversations with him more peace than grief. And I'm teaching Emma and Jacob about healthy boundaries. They'll never need to earn anyone's love. I touched the headstone one last time. Thank you for the real inheritance. That evening, I write in my journal, pen flowing across paper with certainty. Real family isn't defined by DNA but by respect. By people who see your boundaries as a sign of health, not rejection. By those who celebrate your joy instead of demanding your resources. I once thought losing my mother and sister would leave a hole nothing could fill. Instead, it created space for genuine connections to flourish. I close the journal, my finger tracing the final line I've written. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money, but the courage to protect your own heart. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned about family relationships? Share your story in the comments below. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who treat you as an ATM instead of a person worthy of respect. If this story resonated with you, please hit subscribe and the notification bell. Next week, I'll be sharing another powerful story about finding strength through difficult family choices.